In this video, we'll go through the opening of the Compur shutter on this Kodak type 118 Retina to get to the retard gear that decides the timing of the shutter. If your shutter timing is stuck, that may be what you need. To start, pop up the lens. You see this black ring that we have to get that off by opening. First, removing the Kodak plate with these two screws. They're very tiny, be careful. To get to the retard gear, we do not have to actually remove the shutter component from the lens, from the body. We just need to, we can just work with it while it's still mounted. Next step is to remove the lens. For this I use a pair of pliers and apply very gently force to the ribbed outside of the lens. All you need to do is to get it loose, and you can continue removing it with your fingers. When you have the lens off, place it somewhere safe. You do not want to scratch it. Next, we need to remove the ring itself by removing this, or by turning this small dial. For this I use a pair of special lens pliers, but you can use a pair of stiff tweezers, as you just need to turn it around. Once that's done, you can simply turn the entire ring to where it stops and pry it open. Once you have it off, you can start to see the mechanism inside the lens. To remove the shutter dial ring, you just need to simply turn it off, and you can see the entire mechanism of the lens. This is the shutter cocker, which holds the shutter cocker ring, which goes around the lens barrel. And if you move this small dial here, you will be able to pull the shutter trigger, and it will be automatic in timer mode, which is the basis of the lens. Take note of how everything works. Now you have this very small tap right here that you can lift up. This decides whether the camera will be in time mode, bulb mode, or of any of the shutter times modes. By lifting this slightly, as well as moving the lever we saw earlier, we can have it in bulb mode. If we pull that little nod on top further up, nothing will happen, as it will now be in time mode, and you need a shutter, well, not in time mode, but in the shutter timers, the rest of the timing modes. And you need to have everything connected for it to work. Now if we imagine this is in place and we have it at time mode, which is where it would be aligned, see it has a few notches up on top here. That's where the little nod will rest. Now if we move this back on, which is just twisting it down and turning it all around to complete turns, so everything catches, you will see that it rests in the bottom, which is time mode. By twisting up, you see it lifts up a slightly bit. This will be bulb mode. And if we hop it up another notch, you see the little lever we moved earlier actually moves out of the way. This one. And you will have to cock the shutter to do anything now, as the shutter release won't do anything. I remove that again, and this part here is the retard gear housing. This houses the mechanism that decides whether your shutter will be open for a second or 1/100th of a second. This little part there is the retard lever, which is moving because the shutter cocker ring is holding it in place. Now if we put back the shutter lever ring, you will see that the retard lever will ride through different channels throughout the shutter speed settings. If we cock the shutter, you will see it moves up, and as you turn it around, when you shoot it, it will just pop back down. Now if you move it around, you will see it hops through different settings, which is what decides how long it will stay open. If we have it at 1 second and fire it, you will see it will pop down and takes a second. Now the retard gear housing may be stuck on several cameras, which may result in wrong times or no times at all. What happened on my camera was that it was so stuck, my camera was stuck at default 1/100th, and I had trouble removing it. Now this spring that runs through here is attached to the lens cocker ring and will have to be removed. To remove this, you simply lift up the shutter cocker ring, rotate it up so you get it loose. You may need to use a screwdriver to help me pry it up, and once it's up, you will see that a spring is attached to that. Now what you will need to do is lift that off the little tab that holds it in place and just slide the entire spring out. Now you can remove the retard gear housing. Be careful of the washer that follows that screw, which holds the tab for the spring. The other screw is slightly longer and are easy to distinguish between each other. Now you can just lift it out with a pair of tweezers. With that out of the way, you can get a good view of how the shutter mechanism works. As you basically have the bare necessities. This is the retard gear housing. It consists of several gears, and it has a little clock spring right there. This is the clock spring that may have loosened its tension throughout the years, and you may need to fine-tune it again. This is the retard gear activator lever, or whatever I should call it. If you push that down, the retard gear will start jumping up, and that's how it works. The retard gear lever can be pushed all the way out, where it just pivots along its own axis there, out, which gives you the opportunity to fine-tune the tension of the spring itself by feeling around a bit. I tend to reset my spring for my camera to work after having the gear lever unstuck, which was really stuck. So once you have fine-tuned your spring, you can reattach it to the camera and have a test run to see if it works. I had to take out my retard gear housing 6 or 7 times before it worked as it should. Basically just drop it in. Screw it back together. On the next screw, do remember to have the washer with it. The washer doesn't really go in any other way than the correct way, so it should be quite easy to figure out. Now take the shutter cocker ring with its spring, which you need to reattach. Slide it through its own little channel, and then you need to get the spring back over its tab. Now I'm doing this reversed, so it should be easier. It is easier than it looks. Once you have it back, all you need to do is turn around the shutter cocker ring and basically just reattach it. This one can be a little tricky because the retard gear activator and the retard gear itself needs to stay out of the way. You also need to watch that little nod up here so it doesn't get bent. It can get easily bent, meaning time and bulb will not work, but it's easy to bend it back. So you just need to fiddle around a bit, make sure you activate the retard gaze all the way in. It can be rather fiddly, but it should be hard to destroy anything, so just fiddle around with it until it goes right there. Do note that it's flush up here and sits in its notch right here. This ring should be off. You see, I just touched it and the entire shutter ring fell out of its position again. It's fiddly. Now when you have it down there, this one should go up. You can just test it there. Now put back the shutter dial ring, and once you have that in place, you can try all these shutter speeds to see how it goes. You do not need to reassemble it further than this. Now time works, bulb works, and all the other one works as they should. Next step would be to reattach the black ring, make it fall down in its notches and turn it around. Make sure you align that one with this small notch there, as it can overturn. Rotate the dial. You need to hit the spot or else it won't turn around. Can be fiddly, but once you have it set there, reattach its lens. Screw it back into the shutter until you start to feel a little bit of tension, and tighten it with the pliers. Last step is to reattach the Kodak plate. With its very small screws, which I find to be the most fiddly with the entire process. Once you get the last screw in, your camera is ready and you can run through the shutter speeds to test it. Fifth of a second, half a second, 1/25th of a second, bulb, time. It all works as it should. Your camera is now ready to roll. And good luck on your own repairs.